Hello, hello. Going live today. Going live, going live, going live. This has been, I think, 7 days or 8 days straight. Same time, same place. Doesn't suit anyone, but I'm doing my best here. And it's been fun, folks. It's been fun. Not every live stream has been locked and loaded with a lot of people, but started a little bit earlier today to maybe accommodate some of those people that say it's a little bit late for them. So I think it's a really interesting topic actually today. Desperate and needy behavior post breakup. So we often talk about this occurring before the breakup, someone's being needy or clingy. But after the breakup, and I mentioned this actually on Masculine Energy, which is another channel, but he had posted a really good video today. And one of the things I mentioned was we really can't see ourselves, right, and our behavior. We're stuck inside our minds, right? We obviously can look in the mirror or videotape, but if we got to videotape or video record ourselves all the time, every day, especially post breakup, we'd be damn surprised about the actions that we're taking and the way we act. And I get sometimes where some people will send me their stories and they're in a frantic, desperate, needy state that I need to get my ex back. I have to get my ex back. And it's really an uncomfortable place to be. And I have compassion for them. But at the same time, they are in the opposite place of ever being in a place where their ex will find them attractive or even find them as someone they want to talk to. Because when you're that desperate and that needy, it's repulsive to some people and it's pity seeking. Now, I'm going to get into this a little deeper as we get a few more people on. But the idea that you need someone, or you really care about them, or they haven't appreciated you enough, or you've sent them roses. Let's use this as an example because this happens still, and I think it's a tactic from the movie sometimes. But someone's broken up with you. They've stated their reasons. You've had trouble dealing with their reasons, and you think to yourself, well, let me just send her some roses and send her a nice card. And let her know how much I appreciate her, when she just basically told you she didn't want to be with you anymore. So you decided not to listen to that. And instead you thought, well, if I give some kind of materialistic thing that's a symbol of love and excitement and Valentine's Day, maybe I'll lure her back in. Maybe this will work. But it's actually a desperate and needy move because you're not really in touch with reality. Okay, so I'm going to get into this, and what I'm doing now with these live streams on these topics is I will do a follow-up video that's a little bit more polished and isn't part of a live stream, so it's not interrupted. And in the follow-up video, I'll do the same thing. I'm numbering off points, which I think is simplistic and easier to understand, and then I'll create some situations where I'll have a story to tell or a story to share to really punch home the point. So let's get into it. So I wrote out some things here, and just make that a little smaller. Thanks for the 2 people on deck today. I really appreciate you. 3 people. Desperate, the topic today. Brand new Skinner. What's with the great thumbnails? Yo, yo, yo. I switched it up because actually, brand new Skinner, I switched it up. I had 3 people actually contact me yesterday. One was a close friend, another past client, and another person that's a friend. And they're like, oh, I like the thumbnail. So I'll get goofy if that helps people get excited about the video. Why not? I don't give a fuck. Right? So come on, man. There we go. There we go, right here. So are you ready for this one? You are naturally goofy. I don't know if I've ever been told that before, and I'll take it as a compliment. Okay. This guy's a goofball. All right. So being desperate, needy, and clingy post breakup. Okay. What to do about this? This might not apply to everyone, but this is just something I've come across being a breakup coach. Is some people will send their story in, right? You send in your story, you send in your things. And there's some people that take this tone of, you need to help me right now. I'm in desperate help. I'm the worst case. This is the worst breakup you've ever seen. And it's kind of like immediately, I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if I can help you because you're so far down the road of desperation, right? You're so far and you're so obsessed with just getting your ex back that I don't even know if you're in touch with what really happened. And that's when you need to write out your story and talk to someone, because you're dealing primarily on emotion and need. So I'm going to get into this a little deeper. I think this is going to be really interesting. Robert, welcome. Glad to have you, bud. Robert's good people, really good people. I'm on your wavelength. I think you are, bud. Okay, what to do about this? Dun, 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 dun. Number one, identify why. Go through some questions with yourself. I talk about this. Have a good chat with yourself from time to time, in the car, in the bathroom, taking a dump, whatever. When you get some private time in a private place, have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself really good questions. Sometimes when you just keep it in your head, I call it the mouse wheel. You go over the same shit over and over again, trying to get a different answer. So identify why you're being desperate, needy, and clingy. And if you ask yourself a good set of questions, and if you don't do that, find yourself a coach, a therapist, what have you, and then they can kind of help you take inventory of those things. Maybe it's deeper than your ex. In fact, it's most likely deeper than your ex. If you feel this desperate need to get your ex back, or this desperate need that this is going to be the only person you ever can be with in your life, and it's so goddamn dramatic that you need help immediately, it's probably something deeper than just getting them back. And seriously, when you get them back, it might even be anticlimactic, because you'll realize, wow, this wasn't as big a deal as I thought it was. Wow, the relationship wasn't as important to me, or wasn't as good as I made it out to be. Sometimes this happens. So identify the why. Do that with talking to a coach, a good friend you respect, talking with yourself, and asking really good questions. Again, I get this a lot. People are going over the same things over and over again, searching for new answers, when the reality is they already know the answer. Ask new questions that are better questions to get to the bottom of it. Number two, is it really in your best interest to have your ex see you like this? Stay away till you get your head right. If you are in one of these situations, and it surprises me sometimes, because I'm compassionate, I'm understanding, and when someone's desperate and needy and they really want their ex back, but when they have this idea of like, I'm just going to go knock on the door and tell her that I forgot my sweater, I'm like, you're not in the right state to be attractive to that individual. It's actually embarrassing the way you're acting right now. And you need to realize that. And for you to get your head straight, you need to take some time away, lick your wounds, figure out who you are as an individual. Number three, look back when you haven't been this way. What was different in your life? A lot of times there's some other things involved in you being desperate, needy, and clingy to your ex. So it could be you just lost your job. I know I don't talk about this a lot, but I do mention it a lot, or reference it a lot, but in this way, when I went through my horrible, bad breakup of 10 years ago, I felt weak, maybe needy, but I never went out of my way to go to the doorstep or make calls, because I knew, I was like, I don't want to be seen in this light. But deep down, it was more than the breakup. I had some issues with my job. I had some issues with not liking where I lived at the time. I had some family move away that I was quite close to. So after looking back on it, it wasn't the clinginess and neediness wasn't just about getting my ex back. There were some deeper issues there, some other things that probably looking back, I had more control over than I thought. And somehow I thought by getting my ex back, it would fix all that other shit. It doesn't. You're still responsible for a lot of other things in your life when your ex bails. 4, have you ever dealt with people acting desperate with you? Think about this. Have you ever dealt with people acting desperate with you? The pushy salesman, the beggar on the street. What got you to put money in that can? So this is kind of an interesting subject or topic. Still only got 3 on deck, but I'm thankful. This is really interesting because I'm one of those people when I see someone homeless or they got their can out, for, or whatever for money. I'm one of those, call me a sucker, but I always drop $1 or $2. That's just how I am. And I don't know if it's pity or compassion or what have you, but the person that doesn't say much is the person I'm much more likely to drop something in their thing. Someone that goes, hey man, what's your name? Hey, let me just ask you something. Can you just give me $1 and da-da-da? And they keep going. It's like, now it's pushy. It comes from a place of force. It's uncomfortable, and I don't even know if I want to give them anything. Now I feel like I'm being sold on something. The person's just sitting there looking hungry or looking feeble. I'm like, you know what? I'd like to help this individual out. Now, to take it a step further, have you ever dealt with people acting desperate with you? Another one, the pushy salesman. If you've ever been to a vacation spot, right? If you've ever been to a vacation spot and you had someone selling tourist items, okay, like t-shirts and whatnot. And they're like, hey man, what's up? Hey, you want to buy these sunglasses? You want to buy this? And immediately you're like, get away from me. Or the pushy car salesman. You're interested in buying a car. You're interested in buying a t-shirt from Cancun, Mexico. I don't know where it is. You're interested in buying, you're in a new place. But the approach of the person is so desperate and pushy, right? It's so desperate and pushy that it repels you. It makes you uncomfortable. And it makes you distrust them, because people that are desperate will do anything to get what they want from you. And you as a human being over time, that, and it pushes you away. And this is the same thing that occurs when you're in a breakup and you're acting desperate, needy, and clingy. Okay. Number 5, this is a really good question. Do you find pity attractive? Ever? Have you ever been like, oh, this person's so pitiful, I really want to be with them again. This is the reason why I love you. It gets attention, but not attraction. It gets attention, but not attraction. Really think about that. And someone, I'm not pitiful. I'm not seeking pity. Really? Desperate and needy behavior at its best outcome is someone saying, oh, I have pity for you, right? I feel sorry for you. Number 6, I need help. I'm going crazy here. I can't get them out of my mind. I get these kind of emails sometimes where people are, and this is the narrative they start with. It's like this battle cry, like, I'm so desperate. I'm so needy, right? This attitude will absolutely repel your ex. So what I suggest is get some smelling salts for yourself and get back into an area where you're like, wake up, hold on a sec, wait a minute, hold on, okay? Like, I've broken up. Let me unpack this thing. Let me go through it instead of just going, I want him back. I want him back. I want him back. Like, do I want to be back in this relationship? Why did we really break up? What's my real reasons? Is the outside things in my life fixable that have nothing to do with this relationship that are also bothering me? Do I want to assess maybe some of these other parts of my life that as an individual I could take on better than when I was with my ex? Was the relationship really that good? You are obsessed with yourself and lack. It's as much about them as it's as much about them as you. Think about that. It's as much about them as it is about you and your relationship with yourself. Because people and I've been here and I've done this and I've had a bad relationship with lack and thinking that you're never going to come from a place where you can meet someone else like that again. Stop looking to receive and get. Okay. I've said this a lot. Seek charitable acts. Stop looking to receive and get, and look where you can give. Look where you can start being a contribution to society. I know that sounds broad, right? All right. One of the greatest presidential speeches ever, JFK. Ask not what what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Now, that might sound a bit patriotic because it is, but I'm asking what you can do for humankind, for mankind. Is that deep? Yeah, it's fucking deep. But is it better than you going, oh, I don't have, I need this, I need that. Oh, I'll never meet someone like this again. Hold on. What's something I can do really, really good to help society today? Let me do a beach cleanup. Let me go to a soup kitchen and feed some people. Let me read the books at the library. I don't know. There's plenty of avenues to find out. But when you're in this deep a hole, you're obsessed with what you're not getting, with what you're not having. And it's a bit of a spoiled brat syndrome. And the way to reverse that, and I've been there. I'm not saying that I've never acted this way. The way to reverse that is actually to give. Find a way to give. Number 7, people aren't going to like this because it's repetitive. Go exercise and push yourself. If you're in a needy, desperate space, and if you don't want to exercise and you want a cheating method, go to a sauna. If you want to cheat exercise, go to a hot sauna, infrared sauna, or an ice pool. This will shock your system and really help you. Exhaust yourself physically. This will take the edge off exhausting yourself mentally. Does that make sense? So you are when you're obsessed and you're needy and you're clingy, you're upset, you're exhausting yourself mentally. You're thinking too much about the topic. If you can exhaust yourself physically, this will take some of the edge off that. Number 8, be thankful, get thankful. I have some exercises for this that are really, really good, and I'll discuss that further when I make a follow-up video on this if you're interested. Because everyone talks about being thankful. And you could just go, oh, yeah, I'm thankful and this and that. And you can, thank this. But I don't think people know of any really good exercises to do this. I have some. Number 9, simple one, journal. Get it out of your head. So if you're constantly going over the same things, journaling. Number 10, be honest with your behavior. Okay. Are you being a victim? Where's my power? I'm being a victim here. Where's my power? Okay. I see this a lot. What are you really chasing here? Is this that good of a relationship? Is it possible for you to meet someone else in the future of equal or better value that's more congruent with your values? Is it actually possible? That's all I'm asking. Is this the last glass of water on earth? Think about this. We as humans need water, food, shelter, sometimes, and shelter does, could be a lean-to, right? Do we need love? Good question. Do we need love? My answer would be yes, but not from your ex necessarily. So let's get into it. That was a little deep. 5 on deck, no likes. All right, I'm going to turn this around. What's with the great thumbnails? I'm working on it. Thanks for always contributing, Skinner. I really appreciate you. You are naturally goofy. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment, as I said earlier. I'm on your wavelength. I think most likely it stems from finding your own safety, and sense of I'm okay. I don't need validation, sometimes lack of closure. I hear about this a lot. That would be a whole nother topic, seeking closure. A lot of people come up with that the problem is they just wish there was closure. In reality, I'm not saying this about you, Monica, as an individual. A lot of times you're just not accepting what the breakup was about, and you didn't like how it went down. And let's think about it this way. Once you are broken up, that is the closure. That is the doors locked, right? Unless you continue to see each other and talk. You're at Starbucks? Cool. I'm almost asleep. The night is young. For Rob, just went to a concert, so I'm tired. Okay. Who'd you go see, Monica? Which one? Oh, it's a local obscure bluegrass festival. Decided to try something new. A lot of unknown, but great music. Cool. Sweet. I'm watching a live stream concert right now too. Hopefully it will make you less desperate, Rob. Ha ha ha. Great sense of humor. True alpha males are never desperate. Okay, that's possible. Okay, Robert, we can unpack that for a little bit. Traction points just went up on the Rob meter. And we got multiple Robs here today. The Rob Mirror. That's a new one. True alpha males are never desperate. It's funny because we use the word clingy and needy, but people don't like the word desperate. It's a little deeper, right? It's like using the word big and enormous. Enormous is so much bigger, right? But a lot of times when you're saying needy, it's a nice way of saying that some people are desperate. I don't think I've ever met anyone becoming needy over me. Well, probably Robert, in your relationships in the past, you being the type of person you are, probably the other person is more demanding and someone that appreciates someone that's needy on the other side. So for your relationship to be congruent, if you consider yourself needy at times, you probably have a certain type of person that enjoys being in a relationship with someone like that. Now, knowing you, from doing some coaching and stuff, I don't consider yourself overly needy. You're one of those people that you're very helpful and you're very compassionate to other people's feelings. I think Monica is the same way. And what happens with that, Robert and Monica, is that that's the model of the world you see. And so it really upsets you when other people don't act the same way. And it makes it like over time, when you're a giver and when you go out of your way to consider other people's feelings and be really considerate, it really upsets you and it makes you feel bad that other people don't appreciate that or other people don't act in the same way. But the reality is if you both acted in the same way, it probably wouldn't work out the same because you probably wouldn't be needed. Think about that. The needy person likes to be needed. Skinner, yes, crazy world. Yeah, I don't know the specifics of it. That kind of stuff is I don't know if it's another shooting or what, but it's just maddening. Okay, needy ones often attract avoidant types. Yeah, they could. They could. I mean, you usually are. I have a friend that him and his wife are both, when they're around each other, like feeding each other food and chummy. And some might think, oh my God, they're so, it's a bit over the top, more than a bit over the top. Like I said, you'll be talking and it'll be like, oh, hold on, babe, hold on. And it'll be like a spoonful of, pasta, like while she's talking. Oh, sorry guys, sorry. And you're just sitting there and you're like, okay. But they get in these little fights all the time because both of them are so needy and lack independence that when they get in a fight, it gets blown up more than it needs to be. Okay. But they enjoy being with each other because they're both a bit needy. He considers her to be needy, but they both are, right? We both are. It was like speaking a different language. I think attachment types are good to know, but it annoys me when people typecast themselves as the style, as if they're a robot can only be one way. I agree with Skinner. That's my viewpoint. And I'm not against it, Monica or Rob. I understand, like this book talks about it. Love, the Psychology of Attraction. They have all those avoidant types. And I remember when I first read River King. Excuse me. When I first read about it, it was like I said, it's, what do you call that? Like when you read that you're Aquarius or one of these things, you're like, oh yeah, I could be that one. Oh yeah, I could be that one. If it helps you and it serves you moving forward, good. But I would agree with Skinner. I think attachment types are good to know, but if it annoys me when people typecast themselves. I would agree. I don't ever want you to consider yourself an identity of one thing. People do this with depression, actually. I've seen this a lot over the years. I mean, I talk about this. I'm 38. I don't remember as a teenager there being a lot of people going, oh, I suffer from depression. If they were depressed or they were down and out, they would make more of an attempt to deal with it. I'm not being insensitive, okay? So that some people don't suffer from depression. But what I'm saying is when, yeah, That is a touchy subject. But what I'm saying is when you start identifying that you're just this way, as if, if I was to say, there's some things that I can identify with that I probably can't change. We're on the same page. That's why you like this one, man, Skinner. This is why you like this live stream. What I'm saying is, if I'm going to identify with something that's negative, then I'm going to keep making it true over and over again, and I'm not going to find ways to combat it and beat it, right? There's a great book, The Brain That Changes Itself, I believe. I gotta get my book review shit together, guys, because there's so much knowledge and the books out there on the Audible and whatnot. But this guy, he basically does these exercises to overcome Parkinson's disease, which Parkinson's, I don't know the specifics of it. Monica, you might know more about it because you're in the medical field. But all these things that people said, oh, you could never overcome it. He's overcome it by developing his own exercises and not identifying with the disease and not identifying with the ailments. And my thing is about depression is, yeah, you're depressed, but to say that I'm Mac McCarthy and I help people with breakups, that's an identity I want to live. That's an identity that has high intentions and makes me feel good. If I said I'm Mac McCarthy and I suffer from depression, it's like, okay. If I say I'm Mac McCarthy and I'm currently recovering from depression, that's a lot better. If I'm Mac McCarthy and I'm beating depression, that's strong. All of those narratives will push you in a direction if you believe them, and your subconscious will guide you down any of those roads based on your self-talk. This is huge, people. Talking time to focus on myself revealed to me, Monica, probably smart though. It is a touchy subject. Just make sure you are open about the river when you date someone. Make things easier. What happens if you marry a woman that avoids problems when problems happen? Good question, Robert. So let me unpack this for a moment. It's so funny because I'll get a good question like this and then something else will come up and it takes away your attention. So let me gravel on this. Would she just walk out on your divorce? You attain avoidance she feels good with. Let's see here. So what happens if you marry a woman that avoids problems when problems happen? Well, first of all, avoiding problems when problems happen is a serious issue. It's a serious problem. It's a serious red flag. If someone does that regularly, that's someone that you don't want to marry. That's someone that probably... People that avoid problems find excuses why they can't be fixed, and it's extremely negative moving forward. And a really good book, again, Mindset by Carol Dweck, which talks about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And people with fixed mindsets create barriers all the time. They create hurdles. They create situations where they're like, oh, this problem will never be overcome. And the whole basis of the book, Mark Manson, just drew a blank. Anyway, the basis of the book is not to avoid problems. The ultimate self-improvement, the ultimate happiness is to identify the problems, fix them, and do your best with them. Don't avoid them. So I would say that would be a huge red flag. Would she just walk out on you or divorce you to attain the avoidance she feels good with? I would say yes. I think you answered that by asking that follow-up question, Robert. You're answering your question on the first one. Yeah, most likely, if that's the way she. So there's a really good saying: "How you do one thing is how you do everything." I'm not sure if that's 80 or 90% true, but now that I've done this a while and deal with a lot of people and look at myself, how you do one thing is how you do everything is probably true in a lot of ways, right? And so if this person does that regularly, it's probably going to be a reoccurring theme. And if they're in their mid to late 20s, early 30s, they got a career type job, they've lived in the same place for a while, they're not really looking for outside education or to move up or to do anything else, they're probably not going to change. How do people change? Usually crisis. Someone passes away in the family. a serious accident, a breakup. And these are the things that reset the computer and someone goes, oh, really, I want to change some things about myself. But otherwise, if someone's pretty much mediocre, they get by, they're getting enough money to eat and sleep, and they have someone they're seeing and they're with, they're probably going to be doing the same things, even if they're not supremely happy with them. Avoidance may usually need time out before re-engaging. What? Let me ask you. That's your issue with your ex, Robert, or that's your personal issue? Elaborate a little bit, Robert, so I can understand. My avoidant girlfriend made me anxious. Probably that is true. Yeah, well, you're a pleaser, Robert, and what I mean by that is you're a accommodator. You don't want someone to feel bad, right? I've been like that in the past. And it can be an exhausting thing. And if you have someone that knows that about you, they can manipulate that a bit. And so, what you're trying to avoid, maybe, Robert, and this is different for everyone, is that if someone's sad or upset, you get into a mode where you want to put that fire out, and you'll do anything that it'll take, but it actually takes a little piece of you, and you're actually not fulfilling what you really want. And that person can keep chipping off pieces of you as an individual because they constantly create situations where it's about them and what they want. And you're going, okay, I don't really want to do that, but I'll do this, but I'll do that. But deep down, what's making you anxious is it's not congruent with what you really want. It's like Tony Robbins talks about, if you're having trouble making decisions, and I've had that problem in my life before, it means your values aren't lined up. They're fighting each other. It means like in one place you value this, in one place you have this value, and then the values, because if you have values conflicting, when you make a decision, you can't just go, you're going from value to value, and you're going, oh, this doesn't match that value. This doesn't match that value. That's why people that have really strict principles and values are really easy with decisions. So it's like my father. I'm not saying he's always made really good decisions, but he's very in tune with who he is and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And so if he needs to make a decision, sometimes it even feels impulsive, he'll do it. And he said he learned that from being in the military, because the military encourages you to make decisions quickly, right? But being anxious is a lot of that is uncertainty. I get on the break sub on Reddit, and I constantly see people naming how they have BPD or some other mental condition in their story, almost like they're trying to use it as an excuse to for the breakup. Yeah, it is a touchy subject, Skinner, but I know exactly where you're coming from. And that's my thing. It's like if you have the flu, right? You'll tell your friends, oh, I got the flu, right? If you say I'm just getting over it, or I'm this, the people that are like, some people like being sick, actually. That sounds weird because they get more attention and they have an excuse to be home from work. So they'll be like, oh, and they'll make the flu worse. They'll make their sickness worse. It's like, I remember my mom really liked her job when I was young. I don't remember her calling in sick, like being really sick, ever, that I can remember, like the flu or something. And part of that is she liked her job, so she wasn't finding reasons outside. The mind works in mysterious ways. I was dating an anxious type, so we were kind of polarized. Well, polarization is attractive to, you're serving each other's needs. So if she's the anxious type and you're the calm type and reassuring type, and you're the director, it probably made you feel good. It probably felt like you were useful. And what happens with people like that is you have your role, and then when you break up, you start to go, oh, what is this person going to do without me? They really need me. Don't use mental health as an excuse for your behavior. Acknowledge it and work on yourself. I agree 100%, Skinner. I think there's so much information out there with self-diagnosis. I think it's gotten extreme. I mean, the word narcissist has been thrown around a lot, and I think it's a word that comes off as someone that is highly knowledgeable in psychology and whatnot. And it's a word I don't even remember being used when I was young. It wasn't even a common word. And if you look into it, it has a definition to it and it has a lot of tentacles to it, and people throw it around. And that's another one. Oh, this person's a narcissist. Everyone has narcissistic characteristics. Newsflash. The people that are extreme narcissistic characters are selfish. They're selfish individuals that are manipulative. A lot of them end up being criminals. River King can relate. I'm into connection. Avoidance make me anxious. Well, what about this though? I mean, if you met someone else that's into connection, would it work out? I don't know. See, when you start using these labels and stuff, I don't know. I haven't used them. So, Robert, I get you. At the end of it all, I found that I was afraid to fall in love. Monica, I don't know why that was. There's something there, River King. That's the beginning of your journey right there. I found that I was afraid to fall in love. There's a lot of people that are afraid to fall in love. Generally speaking, if I had to give you a short answer on this, and I don't know your full story, River King, I think you sent it to me. I'm not sure. Yeah, you did. But if you are afraid to fall in love, then something in your past, whether that was your parents, whether that was your grandparents, you witnessed someone falling in love and it not working out. And so to you, falling in love comes with some kind of negativity. That's what I would guess. Maybe that's my issue. My avoidant girlfriend may be anxious. I feel like because mental health is becoming so much easier to talk about is because causes people to basically make it a character trait, like a part of their personality people should just accept. I'm not unsensitive or uncompassionate to people with those things, and I don't know enough about them to really elaborate, but I do think there is a growing problem with someone taking that as a label, and in the first 5 minutes of meeting you saying, oh yeah, I suffer from this. Because when you identify with it like that, where are you really going with it? It's not something that you want to wear on your sleeve as if, this is who I am. This is just how I am. Because I have family and relatives that have used it in a way of an excuse not to work, an excuse not to be, not to do anything. And they use it very conveniently. But that's not to say that everyone's like that. Right. Look at the amount of people that, are getting government aid and whatnot based on those reasons. And who's to say they're lying? Because it's extremely hard with someone with mental health to just be like, oh, you're full of it. Right. It's a fine line, Skinner. But trust me, I know what you're talking about. Coach, that is true. I think that polarization is what made it last so long, 1.5 years. It is, River King. And the fact that you led with good intentions and you went out of your way, that's cool. I mean, that's fine. And like I said, if this individual is anxious and needy and, you felt like you were giving her good advice or you were leading her in the right direction, even though she didn't take it or she went down the wrong road, that's probably what attracted you to the situation. Like me, I like to give advice. I like to be a teacher. It's funny. I've had someone be my coach to talk to me about YouTube and these different things. And they have a YouTube channel. I have a high level of respect. And I was like, we're sitting there and we're literally like, no, you go ahead. No, I keep talking and then he talks and then because to me, I'm a coach too. I'm a teacher too. And he has the same identity and we get along really well. But to get that energy of talking, it was off. Because I'm not going to just sit back and go, yeah, okay, let me take notes. I'm like, wait a minute, let me teach you something. Like in the beginning, I'm like sitting there kind of going like, hey, have you read about, he's someone that does book reviews. Have you done these? Have you done this? I keep wanting to teach him and help him. And it's like, I came to him for help. You follow me? So in the beginning, I had to take a step back and go, hey, wait a minute, man, you're not coaching this guy. He's coaching you. Right. And so I said, all right. It was funny. I said, all right, go ahead. I'll let you lead. And he's like, there you go again, keeping it in your frame. River King, that's an issue-based relationship, and usually with those attractions is super high. Judy Jackson in the house. Judy. My grandma used to work at a Judy's Ceramics. My grandma did ceramics for years. I remember I had to go there as a kid and paint some kind of a horse or some kind of thing. It's funny how we associate names or people with other people in our past. So I like the name Judy. Judy from Judy Ceramics was a really cool person. And then there's Judge Judy. Yeah, as an avoidant, it's funny how that works. Once she broke up with me, now all I want to do is give her everything I have in the tank. Then I just feel guilty. That's the statement, River King. You are identifying with feeling guilty. Something in your past something in your past that you haven't forgiven yourself for, and you're layering it onto this. It's deeper than this relationship, River King. It's deeper. As of when, it's funny how that works. Once she broke up with me, now all I want to do is give her everything I have in the tank. If she broke up with you and you want to give her everything you have in the tank, reassess that. Ask yourself why. People I've known in the past has labeled me bipolar. Well, unless they're a doctor or a medical clinic. If you have just friends randomly doing that, that's dangerous, because you start to think like, oh, is that true? Right? It could be just a joke. But on the flip side, if you really want to check it, go to a medical a practitioner or whatever. And if they were to say it was true, I would get a fucking second opinion. I would get a second opinion. I don't know how that's going to serve you moving forward. I know exactly what you mean about needing to know how to take your coach hat off, Mac. I'm easy to vent so sometimes I get caught up and want to give advice, but some people really just don't want to vent. Yeah. And that's why I created a platform where people can come and I can give advice and I can listen to them. And now it's evolved into something a lot deeper with experience. If that's your gift, you asked about gifts, Brand New Skinner. If your gifts to be a good coach or to do something like that, then you need to create an outlet where that's the thing that you like to do, and people are going to be receptive and enjoy getting that advice. So if there's Brand New Skinner, is there something that you could be a coach? Is there a field that you could be a coach in? Like me, if I didn't coach breakups like I do now, which I enjoy and I do a good job at, I believe, I could coach youth basketball. I have a lot of experience in that, and I've done it before, and I've done a good job at it. So, and then also being a teacher for years. And all those things have been really fulfilling to me because I enjoy giving advice and helping people. But you're exactly right. People that don't want advice, they'll tell you like, I didn't want any advice from you, especially adults, right? They don't want to get lectured. They didn't come to you for that reason. They usually just want to tell you about their shit and have you sit on it. And for some reason, by you giving them advice, they feel like you're telling them that you're better than them in some ways. And a lot of times my approach in a live coaching session is more or less to ask you questions and bring to the surface some of the stuff that you're not revealing to yourself. Now, she ran off with another guy that I saw together, which brought pain. I don't want to wish on no one. Well, if you witness and she's already with someone new, River King, and you've mentioned this before, that's your clarity 101. And a lot of people are seeking that out of a breakup. They're going like, I wish there was a definitive reason to move on. You have one. She's already in a new relationship. She's told you who she is. And you're at a point now where it hurts really bad and it's not going to go away anytime soon. But at the same time, you're crystal clear that you're not getting back together anytime soon. And if you were to maybe revisit this situation, do you really want to get back with someone that, immediately after a 1.5 year relationship gets with someone else new? River King, sounds like this is bringing up a lot for you. A big lesson in this one. Yeah, Monica, listening to Mac here has helped tremendously. He's got no idea. I really appreciate that, River King. Thank you, bud. Hearing you mention layering our problems in one of your older videos was an eye-opener for me when I saw it. Well, thanks, Brand New Skinner. It's true. And when I talk about these things, I learn them better teaching them. Okay. I was just looking at a psychology book earlier today. I should bring it on the show one time because it's like one of these books, almost like an encyclopedia type thing. And they said the highest retainment of something of knowledge is actually teaching it to someone else. And so when I go through these things and talk about these things, I retain it much better. But thanks for that comment, Skinner, because I think that is a big deal. And the way to describe it with the layering, I've done it. I've stacked my problems on top of each other and they look a lot bigger than that's what you do in a live coaching. Go, all right, let's take all this out of the suitcase. Let's put this over here. Let's put that over here. Let's put this over here. Okay, we can actually fix this. I actually had a client. He sent me these, he's got a breakup. He's got problems with his ex. He's got this, he's got that. And he's like, yeah. And the other thing is the apartment we had, she still owes me half the deposit and she owes half a month's rent from last time she was here, but I'm in no contact and, this and that, this and that, this and that. And I'm like, hey, look, with the money thing right now, just be crystal clear, be upfront and just send her a message and go, hey, look, don't be dibble dabbling around with that because that's going to eat at you because that's something you deserve, right? To get the half deposit or the half rent if you guys were splitting rent before. And I go, if you don't want half rent, fine, but you want half deposit, be very clear and just send a message. Go, hey, look. And he's like, I don't know how to get that money back. Just give her 2 or 3 options. Go, hey, you could put it in my bank account or you could put it here. If you don't have it in a week or 2, that's fine, but just let me know when you can get it to me. And he was like, wow, that was brilliant advice. It wasn't. It was just that he had it layered on top of other things, so it seems so difficult. Does that make sense? When I separated, it was like, oh yeah, if I just make that the one problem of getting that money back, and then I look at it, and I'm like, oh, okay, just give her a few options, just make it about the money, not about the breakup, and true, women especially just need a vent to be listened to. That's it. No problem solving. That's talked about in The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Women are highly emotional, and a lot of times they don't want you telling you how to fix it. They just want you to listen and be present. And for men, that's difficult because we like to fix problems and be rational. And even in that book, he mentions that men will go, you know what, I can't listen to this anymore. And how many times have you done that? Like, this is enough. And they cut off communication. That really upsets a woman usually. I look at relationships as doors, up to you to open them and see what's really behind them. Oh, that's interesting, Monica. I see you've woken up a bit. Talking about neediness, my ex was very needy even when I was with her. I didn't buy her things every day, but I was there every day with her, cooking meals for her at her house, even cool with her. I don't know, how much can one be needy? How much can one be needy even in a relationship? Even cooked with her. Okay. I'm not sure, Robert, I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what like when you say that, I'm not sure how much can one be needy even in a relationship. I don't know what you're measuring with that question. What I'm saying is people in relationships can form a relationship that's good and their character is to be needy. So for example, what I was saying before is in a relationship, I know from a friend that is not a client or anything like that, but being around him, his wife is quite needy and he responds to it. He enjoys her neediness. He feels like he's needed. He feels more appreciated. But on the flip side, when you create that, when does the neediness stop and when does it get exhausting, right? I don't know, because I'm one of those people. I'm not attracted to needy women. Never have been. And that doesn't mean they're bad. That doesn't mean I'm against it. It's just I'm a highly independent person and I like my private time and I don't like to be called 15 times or 10 times. That's just something I won't put up with. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? It's like that'll last about if you start that with me or so, I haven't been in those situations because it's just not acceptable to me. So if that's how you like your relationships to go, then you need to find ways that you're getting your alone time and your quiet time and your creative time, right? If you like to make music or you like to do outside things, you like to ride horses, I don't know. Someone just mentioned that recently about horses. Then you need to make time for that. I look back at, an uncle's relationship that I had. They had a great relationship, him and his wife, and he always went hunting and fishing, and he had some really good hobbies that took him away from the house. He had a job he liked. This all helps your relationship. But if you're creating a situation where you're dealing with a needy individual and you're constantly going out of your way to please him, at some point you're going to become exhausted, in my view. Maybe her need was for emotions and not physical acts. Maybe. I don't know what my ex longed for. If I was giving her a lot already, even if I married her and gave her children, I feel like something was missing. Well, ask yourself, Robert. Ask yourself, just lay down, take a couple deep breaths. I know this sounds kind of weird, but go, what was missing for me? Because I know with you always are worried about what's happening with other people, what they need. Are they okay? How can I help them? How can I take care of them? How can you take care of Robert right now? And ask that question. Like, if you say, I feel like something was missing, ask yourself the question, what was missing? What was missing in the relationship? Subconscious, what was missing? And if you give yourself time and you're in a calm place, an answer will come up. And it's probably what your subconscious and what your mind's thinking. I don't know what it's going to be, but ask yourself that question. Because your subconscious has a lot of answers. A lot of answers. Have you ever lost your keys before? I've talked about this. You lost your keys. You're leaving and you're in a rush. And you're like, fuck, where are my fucking keys? Damn it. And you look around, you're angry and you're going, I always lose my keys. I always lose my keys. If you fucking stop for a minute and you go, where did I put my keys? I'd say you got about a 50 to 70% chance of finding those keys, because your subconscious will start searching for the answer. When you start saying, oh, I always lose my keys, I hate when I do this, I got to go to work, you're not looking for the answer. You're looking to bitch about it. Now, if someone took your keys and moved them somewhere, then that's a different case. Mac, you doing these live streams are really helpful. It keeps me mind at ease, and you just have a way with giving advice and just being entertainment. So thanks. Well, I appreciate that. They say that people come to YouTube to be entertained or to be taught something. So if I can do both, that's outstanding in my book, and I'll take that compliment. I appreciate it. You know when been like for no, Zach Goldman, Mr. Goldman Sachs. I don't know what you mean by been like for no. That's a code I don't know. I've never been needy of any relationship I've been in. Well, that's fucking outstanding, E.G. That's something to hang your hat on. And some people, they're not attracted to people that aren't needy. They like it. Like I said, can the woman on here explain something? So this is not for me. My ex got mad at me for always kissing her on the forehead before heading out to work. She got mad at me a lot, telling me only brothers do that in families. Everyone has a different definition of what a good kiss goodbye would be. That's what I would say. I'm not a woman, though. You're asking the women. That's interesting. That's like such a little thing, but those are things where you're like, well, to me, it means this. To her, it means that. Who's wrong? Who's right? It's just an opinion. And it's based on a definition of some kind of past experience. If I had to guess, Robert, someone used to kiss you on the forehead that you really cared about. And so you identify that as being really caring. And to her, she saw it in a movie or she saw someone else do it with someone else, and she looks at it as a different way. No one's wrong. No one's right. 4 months since the breakup, and my ex is still reaching out randomly, asking how I am, saying shit like, you were always good to me. What does this mean? 4 months since the breakup, and my ex is still reaching out randomly, asking how I am. Well, Zach Goldman, I don't know if you've been on the live stream before, but first of all, welcome. Second of all, I don't know enough about this to give you a tailored response. So if you send your full story to writemac.com, that would be best, because this is too small a snippet. It's kind of hard in live streams when it comes to this, because you can't write a big long story. But I don't know, because I don't know your story. I don't know the background. If I can have like 500 to 800 words of what happened and get a gist, then I can maybe give you a better answer. But if I'm going to give you a short, generalized answer, you were always saying shit like you were always good to me. That's someone saying that I miss you, and that they thought you were good to them, that they thought you were good in the relationship, and it's almost remorseful. You know, that they have some worry, that they have some miss, and maybe they feel bad about something they did. So that would be my short answer. But to get more tailored response, I would send your full story to writemac.com. I thought that was romantic to me. I feel like she didn't get enough from me. That's the whole point. I feel like I was giving a lot, though. Well, if you feel that way, you know yourself pretty well. Do you think you're an honest person? Sometimes you're giving to an empty. Sometimes you're giving. It's like filling a bucket and there's holes in the bucket. You're never going to fill it. And those kind of people are, like I said, they're exhausting. I've had friends like that where you just sort of like, fuck, man. It's always about them. It's always about helping them. I haven't had a girlfriend like that, but you never can do enough for them. And those kind of people, they'll fucking exhaust you. And in the beginning, it's a puzzle. It's a game. And it excites you, and you look for more ways to please them and do things for them. But then towards the end, you kind of are just like, what the fuck? I never win. I never get thank you. Robert, she might have had a different love language. There you go, Monica. God, humans are weird creatures, man. Why can't we all just get along? No, we're not weird creatures. We're just complex in our individuality. This is what I've learned by doing this. And I think that the internet and YouTube, and this is where we get confused, is because there's a lot of information out there where it goes, hey, do this, this, and this, and you'll get this. Hey, you have this diagnosis and you're this. It's like, well, you know, I come back to this all the time. Your fingerprint, you know that every fingerprint's different, right? So are people. There's just like that's my problem. And this is just my opinion with the avoidant thing. If you're going to put people in a box and you're going to say, oh, there's 7 types of people for this, I'm like, well, they could be this, but they might have this different because this happened in their past, right? You could have someone there. People are complexly nuanced in their differences. It's like introvert, extrovert, right? It's like I'm an extrovert, right? I'm outgoing. I'm on live streams. I talk a lot. I like to talk, but I'm also can be an introvert sometimes. There's times where I want to be alone. I eat lunch a lot alone. So there's some people that would say, well, I thought you were an extrovert. I'm not very open with my feelings about if it's something to cry about or extreme loss in my family. I don't cry very easy. Would that be associated with an extrovert? Now, we could put that in one of these avoidant boxes or one of these different things, but I don't know if I fit one of those things. So the complexity, but the little nuances, and that's why when I have someone write their story, I'm learning your nuances so we can tailor a response and situation. I've said this before, your breakup, probably the facts of the breakup are very simple. Number one, what's true? Fact. You broke up. 100% true. You are no longer boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. Okay. That's official. Or wife, husband, possibly. That's a fact. Number two, why did it happen? That's an opinion. You think it happened because of this. She thinks it happened because of that. The other facts, not too many else. If you walked in and saw them physically cheating, you walk in, the other person's kissing someone else in your bedroom or the shower, like Silver Linings Playbook. Wow, what a crazy movie that is. Excellent movie. Walks in on the shower and his wife's hooking up with someone else, right? That's a fact. He doesn't have to think, oh, was she cheating? What happened? No, he witnessed it 100%, right? So the facts of what happened are actually very simple and small. The interpretation and the filter of how you take those facts in are vastly, vastly different human to human. And that's why you need to talk to a coach, a therapist, or a well-respected friend. What I mean by a well-respected friend, someone whose life you go, they really got their shit together. I really think they have a good idea of relationships, and they would really shed some good light. You don't want to go to someone about a breakup that's been broken up more times than you and hates all men or hates relationships. That's not the person to talk to, because all they're going to do is project it. Okay. So that's the thing about it. I don't know if it would be weird. It's just that you collect all these memories, and every memory is interpreted differently. Also, my ex gets so mad when I give attention to my job. I do a very good job with my job, and I take pride in it, and she was upset at that. She wanted everything to her. Well, Robert, in my book, and I know you a bit, that's unacceptable, because you do a good job, and you have a noble profession, okay? And if you're doing good work and you know deep down, I do good work, I make a difference, I contribute to society, well, that should be enough for you. And if someone doesn't appreciate that the job that you do is something special, and the fact that you take pride in it is something special, then that's probably someone you don't want to continue. I know it's hard to hear, but continue being in a long-term relationship with, because your job and whether we want to go a step further and say your passion or your purpose brings you a significance. And I'm going to tell you something in life. Feeling significant in some way, not necessarily successful, because this is the battle cry of the modern, YouTube, internet. Oh, today I got Gene Grabladini on that's, made $100 million and is ultra successful. Does that tell me this person's a good human that contributes to society and helps other people out? No, he just made $100 million on a book or something. I don't know. And this is where society's like, no, give me fucking significance. What do I mean by that? It's like right now, I'm doing a live stream with 13 people. And if you say like, oh, you're going to pat your own back. Yeah, I'll pat my own back on this. I'm doing a live stream. I'm not getting any money for this. I'm connecting with multiple people, answering questions, giving my opinion, and hopefully helping some people out, right? And then when I get done, and then later on in the afternoon, I feel like, wow, I have some significance. I'm helping some people out. I'm important, right? And your job, whether you're a nurse, you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a fireman, those kind of jobs that contribute to society and help you feel significant, that's a direct way to combat any kind of depression or feeling bad about you. And you have control over that narrative. You don't have control over your ex and their feelings and where they're headed. So if I had to choose a great career that I loved and I saw nothing but, 20 or 30 years over a relationship that somehow made me feel guilty about how much I loved that job, I would probably choose the job or career. Because over time, there's going to be someone to appreciate that about you. We're all complex and unique. Unique's a good word. Humans are indeed complex. I don't act needy, but men take it as disinterested. I'll tell you one thing. I've, living in a lot of different places and doing a little bit of traveling, the people that seem really simple because they live in the country, they don't have all these complex parts of society, seem happier. And you think to yourself, wow, these people are so simple because they're present moment and they don't have a lot of worries. I don't act needy, but men take it as disinterested. She's a queen, 19. Being that your name's She's a Queen, are you saying that you're a queen? That's a general statement. Where are you meeting these men would be my first question. And what's your definition of not acting needy? So if you don't act needy, how do you act? That would be the question, because you can still turn off men by not being needy and acting in some other supreme way. I don't know. So who are you meeting? Who are these men that are judging you? Because it's obviously not the whole world's population. Secondly, if you're not acting needy, how would you define how you act? No, not at all. A kiss on the forehead shows sweetness, but if she mentioned it, then that's how she felt about it. So that's what matters to her. Exactly. I mean, to me, I would think that would be something your grandmother or your mom would do, like seeing you off to school. But that doesn't mean it's not sweet and kind. It doesn't mean that it comes from a good place. And I would have to guess that it's probably significant to you for the same reasons. I just left my wallet at the movie theater and I had to turn around and yesterday to pick them up. Okay. Hope you got your wallet back. She's a queen. Interesting. What is too distant versus needy? Degrees of distance, that's acceptable. Great topic. Degrees of distance, that's acceptable. Thank you, Monica. I don't chase when they pull away and give them lots of space, but men get nervous and they don't care and think I don't care. I don't know if all men get nervous in that particular case, but that would be a case by case thing. She's a queen. I'd have to see like an example of what you're talking about. It's a little bit broad for me still to elaborate, I think. I can guarantee none of my brothers ever kissed me on the forehead. Okay, individually based. Hey, hey, coach, I'm on. Thanks for the heads up. No problem, Trail Grace. Trail Grace, you sent your story in. If you want it on a public YouTube video, I was going to send you this today, but I could save some time. You need to cut down. It's over 1,000 words, so just cut down the wordiness of it. If you want to do it longer, like I said, then we'll do a full on. But welcome, Trail. I like that name, Trail. Am I saying that correct? Trail? That's a cool name. What nationality is that from, Trail? Never heard someone name that, unless that's just your YouTube name. Let me know if you got any questions right now, Trail. Maybe I can address them for you too. And I'll send you a follow-up email about that. Because when I was going through your story, it's too wordy. It's hard to, sometimes people go, oh, I'm not a writer. I'm not this. It's okay. This is not just to you, Trail, but they'll send their story. And I'm like, you need to rewrite this because it's not very clear. And so what you do is you just reread it and just get to the point sometimes. Scott Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's a club in Las Vegas, isn't it? Scott Fitzgerald. Irish name, right? Old Fitzy. You cannot change people no matter how much you think they need to change. People change themselves. That's the gospel, E.G. Selfishness is so unattractive. I agree. I'm the same. I rarely cry, and when I do, it was a serious situation. I've said this before because doing what I do, I have a lot of compassion and I go out of my way to help people. But yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. I've had a breakup. I've had some deaths in the family recently, and it's like right here. It's like right there. And I could feel it, but I won't let it up. And I did some self-work. What I mean by that, I didn't go to a therapist, but I have a book that has a particular set of questions, and you go through these questions and it really unlocks how you're feeling. And I started breathing deep and it started coming out, and but I still couldn't just all out cry. And that has to do with some childhood things because crying wasn't rewarded when I was young. I really get excited for everyone on here. It kind of feels like a support group. Rock on. Right on, Robert. I've been doing these, bud, for the last week every day. I think a couple months. So we got a regular off and on group. Some people come pretty regularly. Some people have been regulars and then disappeared, but that's just fine. I'm doing my best, regardless if it's 3 or 4 people, which yesterday was like 4 people for the whole hour and a half, but we had a spirited chat and it was good. So you're welcome, Robert. I'm glad it's helping you out, bud. You're good people. I mean that. Known you for a while now, bud. I'd hate to catch a partner cheating. You talk about this a lot, man. I really get excited for everyone. Sorry. Cheating's a big thing for you, huh, Skinner? Skinner, I was thinking about this today, and this is kind of funny because doing this and doing live coaching and doing the live streams, I'll just be having breakfast or I'll be doing something. I'll be like, you know what? I should mention this to Skinner. Like, you'll come up in my mind. And I would really, because I think you said you read, Rob reads a lot. I would read Sex at Dawn by Chris something. And I would read Mating in Captivity, just to get a different perspective on cheating. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I would just look at things in a little bit different way. Because whenever you feel that strongly about something, there's something there and you need to open yourself up. I'm not, because it was funny you said, do you ever encourage people that are cheating in coaching? No. Yeah, man, keep doing it. You're doing a good job. Keep cheating. No, I seek to understand rather than be understood. And that's a big step. Okay. It doesn't mean I always have to agree, but in my role and where I'm at, I really have to try to understand where you're coming from. And when someone's cheating, they don't want to hear you just tell them, oh, you're a horrible fucking person. It's not like that. They have some reasons. They have some things that have happened and they need to talk about it. But those two books, Mating in Captivity and Sex at Dawn, are really interesting opinions on that. That'll open you up a little bit. We have to consider the source. Okay. I don't know what that's in regards to. Skin or worse feeling, feels like you lose your breath and you get punched. Oh, I'd hate to catch a partner cheating. I would say, yeah, absolutely. When you say catch them, do you mean literally, like I said, like Silver Linings Playbook where he walks in on it? Are you saying you just caught a text? Because I think that's varied levels too. Actually seeing something with your own eyes, that's deep. I haven't had a situation like that. I've had a post-breakup situation where I found out my ex was seeing someone immediately after. And it stunned me, but it wasn't as bad as if we were together. And I've had that a couple of times where, like, post breakup, my ex was seeing someone right away after, but I didn't know the specifics of it and the details, but it was quite evident that they were seeing someone else, and that hurt. So if it was someone I was with and I trusted, that would be a gut punch. But I can't imagine if someone walked in on it. Wow. Like they said in that Silver Linings Playbook. I know a guy who said he was cheating with his best friend's wife when the husband saw him leaving through the alley, but he lied and said it wasn't him. Well, the husband, if he believes that, he's choosing to believe what he wants to believe. Then he got with her when they broke up and she cheated on him. Well, if they say cheaters are going to cheat, people, how you do one thing is how you do everything, or people have reoccurring patterns. I think that people can make mistakes, but like I said before, it's not necessarily an accident. A mistake you can identify. I made a mistake. I'm sorry for it. It's not my character. It's not something I regularly do. I feel like shit about it. Or if someone's going to say, oh yeah, it just happened, this and that. And a lot of times the people that regularly cheat are coming from a place of lack, or a lot of times they're in a relationship they're not really happy with, and they somehow feel validated with the idea that the relationship's dead anyways. And if someone found out, it's a dead relationship. So what's the difference? So people find all kinds of different reasons to validate it. Right. People have different, you think about cheating too on another level. I've said before, how many people are actually going to tell these studies and these things out there like, oh, 50% of the American population cheats? It's like, if 50% said yes, there's probably 70%. I mean, it's quite prevalent. It's quite prevalent, right? People have different love language and can see things through different lenses. I think the advice I would give to myself as well is to check in with a partner periodically. Right? People have different love language and can see things through different lenses. I think the advice I would give to myself as well is to check in with a partner periodically. Sorry, you continued on. I said the wallet thing because you were speaking about the lost keys. Oh, shit. I didn't get it because it's on delay. Okay. But you see what if you're in a problem base, you'll just sit there and go, where's my wallet? Where's my wallet? Someone's going to steal my wallet. Da, 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 da. It's like, that's so funny. And periodically ask them, is there anything you're needing from me? Is there anything you're not getting from me? Okay. That could be a good place to come from. I'm just thinking of people that would be like, why the fuck do you keep asking me that? Like, what do you think there's something wrong? I guess that's if you were with a negative person. I've had a girlfriend like that before that probably would be like, why do you keep asking me that? Why do you want to know about my feelings? But Judy Jack, good point. I was trying to relate to it, that analogy. I got you, bud. Parents are outdoors people. I'm not sure. Parents are outdoors people. I'm not sure what you mean. Bohemian. X and I split after a couple rough fights. She broke up with me. Then we got together for a couple great talks and a fun date. Things were looking up. Then she never replied. We are 3 weeks no contact now. X and I split up after a couple rough fights. She broke up with me. Okay, when you write me the story, tell me what happened in the fights. What were the reasons for them? Then we got together for a couple great talks and a fun date. Things were looking up. Then she never replied. Well, things were looking up to you, but they obviously weren't looking up to her. Maybe you want to elaborate on your feelings about that. What if being too distant? We are 3 weeks in no contact now. I mean, if she never replied and you felt like you went on a fun date, I would stay in no contact. I know it doesn't seem very proactive. It might seem counterintuitive, but at this point, if you ended on a fun date, don't chase because she didn't reply. What if being too distant was the cause of the breakup? I mean, what's your definition of being distant, and how do you feel that that's true? This live is amazing. Glad to be here. Thanks. She's a queen, 19. I appreciate it. Hour, 16 minutes. I think what helps, and thank you to Rob for always being a cheerleader for me, a male cheerleader, and getting me hooked up with Kyle. And there's been someone in the past that brought on the guy from the love chat and trying to get more views and more participants. But I think the blessing in disguise is the fact that it is a smaller chat. And so we get to have a little bit better correspondence in between. So I think this is good for some people. Thanks. She's a queen. How do I find out when you are doing your live streams? Oh, they're all underground, man. Sorry. I don't post them. What I've been told is usually they're supposed to come up if you punch the bell on the subscribe button. So then it should update you every time. It should update you every time that a live stream comes up. If I'm correct, the bell should go off and give you a reminder. I'm looking at a way. I don't have an Instagram. I have a Coach Mac McCarthy Facebook. I just started begrudgingly because it's a lot of work already talking to people in emails, but responding to Facebook messages and things like that, kind of fighting it a little bit. But I think Instagram and Facebook, I'll start posting these live streams, and I'm going to stick with this because I think it's good for you and I really enjoy it. So the times this week have been pretty consistent. Those that have come, I really appreciate it. I know that it's late for a lot of people because I'm in a different time zone. Scott Fitzgerald, where are you at in the world? I may ask. I know I mention it a lot. Someone said something about it in the chat. Okay. LOL. I ask a lot about it because it's never happened to me, but I know you do coaching, so you get different perspectives. I don't want to be a close-minded person who just thinks cheaters are evil. Good point. Good point. Let me ask you this question about neediness. I have an old friend that wants to be so strongly attached to me. She thinks we're in a girlfriend, but we're not. She explodes when she doesn't get her way. Well, this sounds like you're attracting people like this because you're being too nice. The fact that she believes that you're in this kind of a relationship and you're accepting the fact that she explodes on you. So this has happened more than once. She explodes on you when she doesn't get her way. Sounds similar to what you're talking about your ex. So explodes means this happened more than once. Why are you letting it happen more than once? Why are you staying friends with an individual like this? It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk or an asshole. You could just, say, you know what, this isn't working out as a friendship at this point, or end it on your own terms. But if part of your friendship is them exploding on you when they don't get your way, is that someone you want to spend a lot of time with? At some point, you need to cut anchor and open yourself up for that time and energy to someone that actually is receptive and is going to help you grow as an individual. That type of needy scares me because I'm not even in a relationship yet, and the girl that goes nuts while just being friends. Cut anchor on that one. As a friend, you don't have an obligation to someone that acts that way because they're your friend. That's just something you have in place. Well, it's my friend, so I don't want to be mean, but it's not a very good friend. Good friends don't explode on you when they don't get their way. Correct me if I'm wrong. Think about this, Robert. Think about your best friend or your favorite friend. I say favorite because I have a lot of friends, because I've lived in a lot of different places, and obviously through this coaching channel, I've met a lot of people. And I've had significant times or moments with those people that I can't regard someone as the best at any one time. But I would say, like, there's a couple, and they're probably more or less like my favorite. And they're favorite because they support me as a friend. They're there for me. They're consistent. They're loyal. It's almost like an unconditional level of friendship. And we have different kinds of friends for different reasons, and colleagues. So think about the friend that's like your best friend or favorite friend and the qualities they have. And why wouldn't you be able to meet some more people like that and spend more time with them? Right? And like I said, you don't need to tell this friend, hey, we're not friends. It doesn't have to be a friend breakup. It could just be you stopping, making plans with them slowly but surely. Live limits the length of comments. So that's why I understand that. Judy Jack, thanks. Stay in no contact. Her feelings may be going back and forth, so she needs to reach out to you. Thanks, Judy Jack. I appreciate that. This is our second breakup now. About a year ago, we split up, talked most of the summer, and didn't make much progress. After 1.5 months of limited contact, she reached out while drunk. If an individual, you know what drunk dialing is, right? It's a hookup call usually. Can no contact work 2 times? Sure. When you break up, the more you break up, the more you're setting the expectations in future of the relationship to do the same thing, because it develops this kind of playbook where someone goes, oh, we did this before, so this will happen again. And so, yeah, the fact that you've gotten back together once, both of you are probably thinking in the back of your mind, there's more of a possibility because it's happened once before. Can no contact work twice? Sure. But my question would be, what relationship are you chasing? I mean, is it if the reason you broke up the first time, does that have something to do with the reason you broke up this time? Because that means you didn't fix the original problem. Hello, everyone. Hello, Max Sabina, Italiano, from Italy. You're not from Italy, but you live there. Yes, amore. I'm in England. It's 5:25 a.m. over here. Well, welcome, Mr. Fitzgerald. I'm in CT, Connecticut. Connecticut? UConn? It's a good university. I'm a big college basketball fan. I don't watch college basketball anymore that often. But I'm assuming CT is Connecticut, right? She's a queen. Connecticut is supposed to be a really nice state. Never been there. Upscale, right? I will rewrite my story for you tomorrow morning, Coach. Appreciate you. No problem. And when I tell you to rewrite it, it's not a reflection of your writing. It's just more clarity so I can give you a better answer. And then I will share it, Trail Grace, on a public YouTube video, my friend. So just keep your names or specific details you don't want in there out of there. Best to look at the web page on writemac.com, and I give some instructions, and that kind of helps give you a template. What are 3 differences between being vulnerable and being needy? That's a fucking good question. That's a good question. She's a queen. I'd have to unpack that. I have to think about that. I have to chew on that for a moment. I'm not sure I can. Being vulnerable is sharing something about yourself that you have some shame, that you're embarrassed about, or that you're worried about. For example, being vulnerable would be saying I love you for the first time and not knowing if the other person is going to say it back. So that would be leading with good intentions, but a little bit scared. That would be vulnerable. Brene Brown has a really good TED talk on that, right? Brene Brown or Brem Brown? Brene Brown. There's a great TED talk. It's a famous TED talk. If you guys watch TED Talks, I'll watch them all the time. Being needy is saying, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you like me? Being vulnerable is, I love you, right? And then letting the cards fall where they are. You know what? I really like you. I'm highly attracted to you. Needy would be, are you attracted to me? Do you like me? Does that make sense? I don't know if those are three different ones. Maybe some people have some other ones. If not making progress, I would go in no contact. Better to pull back completely than let things go downward. Good take, Judy Jack. Rob, it is a good question. I mean, you guys go ahead and chime in. Do you agree with what I said? That's a simple way to, talk about it. Like, instead of being vulnerable, would be giving your feelings without worrying about the outcome, or giving an event without worrying about being judged, where being needy is being forceful for someone to be compassionate towards you, being forceful to have someone match up with what you want. Being needy is what a kid does when they're little, right? She called and texted multiple times, and she was regretting breaking up. I was busy that night and rejected her, asking me to pick her up. I then probably pushed too hard to talk. UConn's in the house. They have the best women's basketball team, right? What's the girl's name that went there? She was really good. Gino something is the coach, but UConn had a good men's team for years too. We love UConn. I then stopped by her place about 2 weeks later and we talked. She started texting me the next day, and 2 weeks later we were back together. Here's the thing, Trail. Great name, like I said, Trail Grace. It just sounds like a TV name. It sounds like you guys aren't done. It sounds like you have some unfinished business and you guys have been down this road before and you're willing to, get back together. But I would stay in no contact at this point and not initiate things. And you got to be really clear on what the problem was. You're saying, like, we got in a couple fights. What were the problems? What are the underlying issues? Everyone thinks love prevails, but at the end of the day, if the problem's big enough, it's going to keep prevailing also. Thank you, Rob. I get confused sometimes. Thank you, Coach. No problem. And that's my opinion. Maybe someone disagrees. Questions like this, she's a queen. And are you saying you're 19 by putting it as people, because you weren't born in 2019. A lot of times people put just curious here why you put 19. That's my opinion of it. I don't know if anyone. Vulnerability is the ability to be open and transparent with your partner. Being needy, clingy is totally different. Usually stems from insecurity or being forceful. Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me? That's needy, right? Vulnerable would be, I don't like it when you don't call me when you get home from work. It's a little bit more, I don't know if that would be as vulnerable. The I love you one's the one that's probably the best example. Judy Jack Burton, on top of that, the insecurity can stem from a multitude of deeper issues. Absolutely. Oh, I see. Thank you, Coach. You need to share vulnerability for true intimacy. Yeah, sure. Sure. As the relationship gets deeper and longer, absolutely. I'm 40, actually. 19 is this year. Well, 40 is the new 20. Okay. I was just curious because a lot of times people put the year they were born, like in one of these things. And so I'm like, why is there 19? So 2019, that would just be like that. She slept with someone while we were apart, and it's been hard for me to work through. Well, I'll tell you what, that's one of those things you have to find a way to forgive you're not going to forget. Sorry, get that out of your head. You have to find a way to forgive. Since I've been doing these live streams, I've become extremely fast talking because I have to respond so quickly. So I process even quicker. So now my videos, I'm like, why am I talking so fast? Slow down. Okay, she went on a trip with her family up to see her aunt and uncle who are friends with the guy she slept with. I mean, this is the elephant in the room. I told her to go, but got into by head about it and ignored her while she was gone. When she got back, we got into it about what happened last year, and I said some rude thing. That means you're holding that. A lot of men would, because men are territorial when it comes to that, and it's something that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth that she was with someone else and you know it, and you don't trust her. Trust, attraction, connection are your three pillars of your relationship. And maybe that's a simplified view, but that's really at the core of it. And trust in long-term relationships are probably most important. And once that gets fucked with or shooken up, it's really hard to regain it. And you probably you might have to go to couples therapy, but I don't even know if that'll work, because the other thing is I could suggest is possibly hypnotherapy, where you go to a hypnotist and work it out that way, or EFT, emotional freedom technique, because this is a situation you're holding this. You're not letting it go. These are things I've mentioned before, and this is a skill I'm trying to garner myself, and this is something I've used myself, and I've actually been to a hypnotherapist, and I've actually done EFT, emotional freedom technique, and these are ways to let go of something you're holding. And NLP is another technique that's kind of outside the box that has different ways, because right now you have an image and an ideal in your head of your ex or your girlfriend being with someone because you know she was, but you can't let go and you want to. Another method to this is, and I would unpack this in a live coaching, is the book. Just had it here a couple days ago. Man's Search for Meaning, which is an all-time classic, right? Logos therapy, which is finding the meaning in everything. If you can find a meaning that serves you moving forward outside of she just slept with someone, she might do it again. That's another way to deal with it. It blew over mostly, but she was hesitant about moving in together a few weeks later. We then got into it about something dumb at the bar a couple weeks later. I tried to cool the situation down. Well, the thing is, whenever you get in a fight and you bring that up, you just start the whole thing over again and go back to ground zero. Secondly, even though you feel like you have a right to bring it up, every time you bring it up, you make her feel bad about herself and bad about the relationship, and you somehow feel vindicated. And it's a card you can throw out anytime. Like, well, remember you slept with that guy, and in the moment you're trying to win the fight by hurting her more, but really you keep fucking up the relationship even more because you can't let that go. And someone, I've seen this before, will say, I just couldn't take it anymore. I don't want to have that brought up. I had a situation in a live coaching session where this guy got back with his ex after a month, 5 weeks, and they're in bed. They hooked up the night before. They had passionate lovemaking. Everything was great, wine glasses and rose petals, whatever you want to call it. And then he goes, have you slept with anyone else? And she's like, why are you asking me that? It's only been 4 weeks and this and that. It's like, have you slept with someone else? She goes, yeah, a guy from work. He's like, what? Maybe I should keep my profile up. Maybe I should do this. And they were dust again. 4 weeks of no contact. They were madly in love. He brought that up. He made her cry bringing it up. She admitted it because she told him the truth. And then he threw it in her face and then suggested, all these different things. And then we did 2 or 3 live coachings after that because he was like, I still can't let it go. I'm like, well, then you still can't get back together. You know what I mean? So what are you chasing? And I get it. I get why you're holding it. It's a blow to your fucking ego as a guy, and you lose some trust. Things that'll work: hypnotherapy, EFT, NLP. These are some things that are a little bit different that actually work on letting your subconscious let go of a thought that you're reoccurring in your head. I had a rough time with my ex moving on so soon, but I eventually got over it. We were broken up. So it's like I couldn't stop her anyway. Plus, she needs to see that she's going to find another me. A rough time with my ex moving on so soon, but I eventually got over it. We were broken up. So it's like I couldn't stop her anyways. Plus, well, yeah, it's true. If you're broken up, thanks for the likes, people. Thank you for the likes. If you're broken up, they have the right. It hurts. It doesn't feel good, but that's clarity that you're actually finished. Because do you really want to revisit a relationship where someone's already gotten with your ex in the meantime? It's not something that feels very good. And if you're a visual person and you have a visualization of them hooking up, or it's someone you actually knew or met before, it's even worse. Like the guy I dealt with, he knew the guy that she worked with, and he's like, oh, this guy's such a loser. He's this, and it made it worse for him. But she kept picking up at what was going on and then stormed off in the middle of the night. By the time I got back to the house, I was upset and I took off. We didn't talk much over the next week. You need some time apart, Trail. True, sometimes moving on makes you get into comparison mode and miss what you had. Absolutely. When we did, it didn't go super well. That's when we broke up. From here, we had those great talks and that fun date. All right, well, send me that information. I might have to put these. We're doing well here. We'll make it to 2 hours, folks. I might have to put these blue light shades on here because I don't want to burn my fucking retinas. Sometimes I have these lights on in here. We've been when we did, it didn't go through. Okay, sorry. CHRD. What does that stand for? Chard? We'd been dating for 2 months, but he just said 2 hours ago it would be better to stay friends. I told him that I would let him initiate contact and I would not reach out. Good idea. Thank you. If you've only been dating 2 months, that's not very long. If he's saying it would be better to stay friends, he's saying that you have a good connection, but something else just isn't there at this point. It could be timing and circumstance, but he values your connection. If you want to let him initiate contact in the future, I don't think that's a bad way to end it because you're not angry or upset with him. So you didn't say anything mean or hurtful. And I do believe at this point, if he wants to be friends and that's not what you want, then just saying, I'm not going to reach out. That's a good place to be because you don't want to reach out and continue to try to play the friends game when you're not really sincere in playing the friends game. So the way you handled it might not sound like, oh, I made such a great move. In my book, I think you did pretty well. The bar fight was over living in a gated community. She then told me that I was judging her and looking at her like she was dumb. Well, this is where the story needs to get elaborated because I don't know what the gated community thing is. Looking like if she feels like you're treating the statement that you're looking at her like she's dumb, then that's not a very good way to make your girlfriend feel, right? So whether that's your intention or not, her saying that is a big deal. So you must be talking to her in a way that makes her feel inferior. What's up, hippie chick? North Carolina. Thanks for hitting the like button. Cheers. I really appreciate that. Kind as always. Actually, just had a sea turtle come up to the beach. I'm thinking about your little symbol there. A few days back. Was entangled in a little net, and they called the people to fix it. I knew deep down she'd be back anyway. Sure enough, she's been doing stuff to get my attention. Well, you know her better than I do, as I like to say. A lot of times you can ask me questions, you can ask things, but it's better me asking you new questions to have new discoveries because you actually have a lot of the answers within. You're just not dialing them up. And that's where I help you out. Do they have sharks at the beaches in Thailand? Yes, but I don't think they have great whites that I know of. I haven't heard of anyone getting eaten. It's funny because the movie The Beach, they have this big shark scene, and I'm like, I've never seen that happen here. It's very warm water, so sure it's possible. So glad you saw a sea turtle. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. No, you don't want to be friends unless you want to help him through the breakup and hear about these new interests. There's a lot of power in being able to walk away and mean it. Well, what I'd say too, and some people say, oh yeah, if you were together 2 months, it's still a discovery mission as far as your relationship. So 2 months, if it's going to hurt tonight, it's going to hurt for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But if you pull yourself away from that, it's not going to be as difficult as when you were together 2 years or 3 years. Much different, right? It's like if you had a drinking problem or some kind of addiction, or you started smoking cigarettes and you only did it for 2 months, it would be much easier to quit than it would be if it was years. And creatures that scared you when you first saw it in Thailand. The one that's pretty crazy is they call it a monitor lizard, but it looks like a Komodo dragon. They're a little bit smaller than those, and you see those on the road sometimes. But they don't attack you. They're not, they're not going to. They waddle away, but they're pretty gnarly looking. They're pretty crazy. And this 3 weeks no contact, I definitely realized I have to keep working on my ability to have crucial conversations. I've been reading some books about communication and trying to employ the tactics. That's outstanding, Trail. When you rewrite your story, I'll send you some book recommendations. This is the time to mount up on some knowledge and take some inventory of areas you want to improve as an individual, and stop trying to put out fires on shallow fights. Being able to walk away actually increases your value and attraction in their eyes. That's the gospel, Judy Jack Burton. What's your favorite animal? Dolphin. Probably dolphin. I've talked about this in the live stream before. This is what this live stream's so spontaneous, right? There was someone I knew that actually she would bring up what animal someone compared to, or what animal would you be if you had to describe yourself as an animal. And we were at a bar, and she's like, "What animal do you think you are, Mac?" And I'm like, "A dolphin." Just right off the top of my head. You're not a dolphin. I think that's a great animal. Friendly, outgoing, fairly smart. Got the sea at its bay. Someone might say, isn't that a fish? It's a mammal. I don't know what else. You know what else I really like is a bighorn sheep. Is that random? The ones with the horns like this? Because I remember when they used to sell those videos on Nature when I was a kid, and they would have the bighorn sheep like boom, and they would fight. I used to think that was so fucking cool. I like the bighorn sheep. That's an interesting animal. They live at like 8,000 feet. What's your favorite animal, EG, or anyone else that's on? Random. Or what animal do you identify with would be the other question. I figure I've asked that question before, like what animal would you be? And some people are like, dog. Really? Horse. I had a girlfriend that said that before. Why a horse? She said because a horse can be soft and kind and sensitive, but also powerful. I'd be a cat. How about everyone else? You like this one, huh? It's an interesting conversation. It's such a simple question. If you bring this up at a dinner or a cocktail party or a group discussion, wild horses run. Oh, you're a wild horse. Okay. And then the interesting thing about this question, guys, is you can go, well, why are you a horse, or why are you a cat? And then they have to elaborate, and it's kind of interesting. I had a 50-yard bull moose encounter 2 weeks ago backpacking. Well, fuck, you got a lot more in life going on than just your breakup, don't you? Where do you live, Trail, if I may ask? With the name Trail? Oh, you work with horses. Oh, cool. Someone just sent a message that on one of the comments that they had a horse farm. That's great. That's a privilege, hon. That's a great animal. I was solo about 7 miles from the road, and so it was a bit sketchy. Do Will a bull moose attack Utah? What's up, Johnny Utah? Utah's a nice state, huh? There's a lot going on there. A lot of people moving there. It's supposed to be a good economy, and it's supposed to be very reasonable to buy a house. I have a cousin, distant cousin. She's married to a professor that I think he teaches at Utah State, if I'm correct. Utah used to have a good college basketball team too. And you got the Jazz. The Jazz got a squad this year. Mama Moose are worse. Okay. Didn't know that. Utah has moose, huh? I always think of it as kind of a desolate place. I don't know it that well. Okay. Mac, you see any black people in Phuket? Yes, I do. Yeah, they visit from Africa, actually. Judy Jack follows that up. Like mama bears? I don't think you meant that to answer Skinner. Yeah, lots of tech companies coming here. Yeah, back to you, Skinner. Yeah, there is black people here, and there is, like I said, from Africa visiting, because where I live, there's a lot of people on vacation. But there's also a lot of international teachers. So yeah, I actually have a good friend who's from Indiana, who's African American. And she, I met her over here, but she has a really cool Instagram account. I'll have to plug her sometimes, because she's cool people. She travels everywhere, and she works online teaching English. She just was living in South Africa, and now she just went to Zanzibar, I think. So yeah, short answer, yes, there is. Very international place where I'm at. Lots of tech companies coming here. Lots of people are getting pushed out of the larger. Yeah, because the Bay Area, where I'm originally from, it's just too expensive. I've heard really good things. We actually have more mountains than Colorado, where I used to live. Okay, sweet, man. Trail Grace. Utah has the highest number of serial killers in U.S. Heard this from Homeland Security people. Oh my God. Really? Where do we even come up with these stats sometimes? That's amazing. I wouldn't think that. Utah, to me, growing up, I had a lot of Polynesian friends, Tonga, Samoa, just where I lived. There was a lot of them that lived there, and a lot of them were Mormon, and so they had a lot of family in Utah, because it's a home of the Mormons, right? I'm a panda. That's cool. Why would you say you're a panda? People love pandas. That's a really popular animal in the world, I'd say. Don't want my blood sugar to go down here, Judy Jack. Yeah, people love pandas, right? I think because they're just not very common, right? How about this? I talk about scarcity being attractive. Have you ever looked at a rooster and how beautiful they look? Like a real rooster, the feathers and the colors, but it's so common to see chickens that we just think that they're ugly or not special. Take a 5-minute Snickers. Thanks, bud. I actually had breakfast today. I had the Nordic, which was smoked salmon with scrambled eggs on a multi-grain toast with a fresh orange juice and a iced Americano. So I had my breakfast this morning, but I did do a hot Bikram yoga yesterday afternoon. And sometimes, even though I feel like I had a lot of water, the next day you're a little bit off. Yeah, it was a great breakfast. See, living here, you'd think, oh, you just eat Thai food. Nope. What should my word count be for my email tomorrow morning? Don't worry so much about your word count. Just cut it back. Just go back through your story and just clean it up to make it more, I usually say 500. Okay. If you just want a public YouTube, it can be longer, but just make it coherent. So if it's 600 words, that's fine, bud. It's 700. The way it's currently written, the first 5 sentences are you saying we were talking about. So just go back through it and just get to the point. That's all. If you feel like, oh, I have to put this in, that's fine. So many people write their stories from their phone and they don't even reread them. and it's really careless. It's like, this is your breakup story. You're having me take the time to read it. Not you necessarily, Trail, but I don't do Red Bulls. Not necessarily you as a person, but reread it. Look at it again and go, all right, let me fix this. We broke up last year because we started. Yeah, I don't do Red Bulls, dude. When they first came out, actually, Red Bulls are from Thailand. Random side note. That's where they originated from. But that's just too much sugar and stuff like that. But when they very first came out, this is a funny side note story, Rob. I was in a basketball league for like a YMCA, like a rec league. And so I'd get one of those like before the game. This was, I don't know, this is like 15 years ago or something, looking back. And I'd just have a half of one. And I remember it was like tip. And I fucking went running into the stands to get the loose ball and fucking dove into the stands. I always played kind of hard like that. And one of the dudes was like, damn, off the fucking tip. And in my head, I was like, I just had a half a Red Bull, dude. I could have done a commercial, right? Oh, shit. He's like, off the tip? Just running into the stands. I was juiced, man. But yeah, overall, I actually only have one coffee a day. I try to keep the caffeine. I'm not a caffeine addict. We broke up last year. Yeah. I always remember that though. Because I did. I chased down the ball. I saved it. I ran into the, into the wall, into the bench. The dude was like, what the fuck? Could have been a commercial. We broke up last year because we started fighting a ton and I was busted hitting up another girl, meaning like hooking up. You don't mean like you hit one, right? Honestly, I was a piece of trash, but when we got back together, things went great and we spent a year. So you hooked up with someone else? Our first big fight was caused by her back in February. She made a huge effort to fix things and we ultimately worked it out, but she made a comment about the guy she slept with while we were apart. Again, elephant in the room is not going away. Each family member of mine has animals. That's cool. Oh, Jesus, that will happen. Yeah, the Thailand Red Bulls, I don't find them very good. It comes in like a medicine bottle looking thing. I think, like I said, sometimes, because there's a lot of chickens around here, like rooster, it's a good looking animal. It's like when I was a kid, we used to go pheasant hunting. Pheasants are beautiful. Good eating also. But I mean, a rooster looks just as good. It's just so common, right? This has been good. Sabina, I'm glad you joined. Trail, this has been really nice. My uncle has putt pigs. It's something else than putt pigs. Skinner, as always, it's always a pleasure. Chard, hope that helped you. Judy Jacks, always on deck. Thanks for the likes, folks. Yukon, she's a queen. Not to be confused with 19. Robert, thank you. Yeah, this was good today, guys. I appreciate you. Stephen Cadu. I'm sorry, what's congratulated me? Stephen Cadu? Can you elaborate? Or Stefan, excuse me. It's Stefan, isn't it? No problems. No, I'm an SD. San Diego. What? Maybe I've asked you this before. What area of San Diego? Maybe that's too much info. Just because I've lived there. Actually, I just ran into someone at the yoga yesterday. She's like, "Oh, I'm moving back to America." I'm like, "Where are you moving back to?" And she's like, "So downtown is southeast. Like, is that near downtown?" Southeast. Or is that near like Chula Vista? I'm not sure. And she's like, "Oh, I'm moving back to San Diego and La Jolla Shores." La Jolla is beautiful. Yeah, Stefan congratulated me. Can you elaborate? Then we had a fight when she went back to see her family where the guy was. I know he wasn't around, but got into my head about what happened. Then we had a dumb bar argument. Bar arguments are not good. Mac, I really appreciate what you're doing. Well, I appreciate you too, Trail, contributing to this and saying thank you is appreciated. and this can get you off your mind on things. And really what you want to do right now in this time trail, being what you've told me, and maybe you want to, if you still continue want to tell your story and send it into the email, that might be good. This is a time for you to do some self-improvement, okay, and start reading up on some things and get some wisdom and learn about you, because obviously there's some things here that you need to shed some snakeskin a little bit, because you weren't exactly innocent in this breakup, and I think you want to do some self-improvement. So there's some books I can recommend for that, and that's probably one way to start. If you don't like reading, do audiobooks. That's what I do. But that's a good place to start. And being a part of these live streams and being out here, you're in a solution base. All right, Steven, sorry, I didn't send. LOL. Lol. My ex, after 2 months of no contact, saw I graduated with my master's and congratulated me. Then the next day, her dog died, and she asked me if she could talk to me. Well, why wouldn't you? What do you want from this? Is 12 miles apart is far. I don't know what you mean. Is 12 miles apart is far? I don't know what that means. In regards to what? We talked on the phone for 2 hours. Should I continue no contact? This was an LDR. Steven or Stefan, I would send your story in. She also told me she really wants to remain friends. Send your full story into writemac.com, because you're just going to bit piece it here, and it's not going to do it any justice. I don't think 12 miles is far at all if that's in regards to a relationship. I think I can run 12 miles if I really wanted to. I could certainly walk 12 miles in about a half a day, but a slow mile would be 20 minutes. When I tried to de-escalate the bar argument, she kept saying those things about how I was looking at her. She stormed off while we walked home. Then we finally met her back at her place. If she thinks that you think of her as being stupid, then or dumb, then that's something that the way you're communicating with her, or that's an insecurity in her. But you have to identify that, because a relationship is not going to last if someone feels like you are treating them like they're dumb. I grabbed all my stuff and took off. She reached out that night about me being able to drive home. Well, that's considerate. That's a caring individual. You have to ask yourself, am I conveying messages in a way that she makes a valid point? I am treating her like she's dumb, or is she overreacting? So do you want to be sorry for something you don't believe is true, or are you truly sorry for something you did wrong? We spent the next week avoiding the conversation about what was going on. Well, you'll have to elaborate that in the story. Cryptic, welcome. You're a little bit late, but I'm willing to go on another 5 or 10 minutes. If anyone has any significant questions to close it out on, this has been a good 2 hours. I appreciate you guys. But when we finally talked, emotions ran high, and she made a comment about not knowing if we were right for each other. You got a lot of different things going on here, Trail. You got that past guy that hooked up with her that you can't get out of your mind. You got the fact that she believes that you are treating her like she's dumb. And now you have this fact that she doesn't think you're right for each other. And you have the fact that when she goes away, you don't trust her because she's close to that guy she hooked up with before. Got a good memory, right? See, all that stuff, I processed it all already. So send in your full story. I do good work, okay? Well, she considered it long distance, different strokes for different folks. Opinions are in individuals, and that's fine. That sounds a bit lazy to me. Oh, it's too long a distance. We're 12 miles apart. That says a lot about your character for me, because like I said, I can walk 12 miles. Shit. That's just, you don't have a car? That's fine. I mean, there's a bus system in Diego, right? You can bicycle 12 miles. Sweet. That's a privilege to have a trolley in your town. Downtown is beautiful in Diego, man. I used to play in a rec league at City College in San Diego. That's a big fucking gym, that City College gym in Diego. They had like 3 full courts. It was nice, man. I think you need to take some space to work on yourselves and make recontact very introspective and purposeful. Thanks, Judy Jack. Isn't definitely not, dude. 12 miles is not a long distance. They have a trolley system. Then we ended up breaking up. We talked a couple days later and had a fantastic talk about everything regarding our relationship and the fights. She said she didn't want to throw us away. Sounds like she's making the decisions at this point, that she wasn't sure about this feeling she's been having about not knowing if we are right for each other. Well, that's a moment, and you need some space and time. She needs to have some time to miss you, because every time you get together within a week, 2 weeks, it sounds like you guys spray gasoline on the fire. It takes me an hour and a half to get to her by taking the trolley. Wow, 12 miles. Well, that's not ideal, is it? So then you have to look at the problem of you not having a car and find a way to, maybe, because that's going to be an issue in the future in relationships. Are you working towards saving up for a car possibly? Talked about a week later, and she told me our talks have been helping her. She even texted that night and said she was glad we talked. Okay. Tell her to take the trolley to see you. We have subways here. Very easy to get around. Sometimes you can get creative. If you go, all right, if I didn't take the trolley, what would be the easiest way to get there? What would be the quickest way to get there? Tim Ferriss talks about this. If you're having a lot of trouble and you're really perplexed with something, then ask yourself, what's the simplest way to do this? So ask yourself the question, if I didn't take the trolley for an hour and a half, is there a better way? And just write it out in a mind map. I could take a bike. That'd probably take 2 hours. Okay, I don't have a bicycle, but my cousin has a bicycle. All right, I can have a friend give me a ride. I can have a family member give me a ride. There's all kinds of different ways when you start looking at it as a solution-based thing. Hey, do you use Extense? I don't know what that is, Daniel Castle. I'm guessing it's a joke. Can toxic relationships really have a chance of reconciling and turn it around? Or should you just try and put those in the past? I mean, they have a chance of reconciling if the toxicity is fixable, I guess, but it probably needs more time and space, and both people need to meet each other halfway. If someone recognizes what's toxic and the other person doesn't see it as toxic, then no, it won't work. I would say the short answer, I would try to put them in my past and move forward, because I would say a majority of them can't unless both people realize the exact reason for the toxic issues. And usually if someone's moved on, which is your case, they haven't really realized or took inventory. I don't know what you mean, Daniel Castle. Maybe you can elaborate. River King, stuff like that's always possible. If we're going to play percentages, probabilities, I would say no. That's what I was thinking, Sabina. I've heard of that before. Most times the toxicity is really fixed. About a week after that, I asked her on the date. We had a good time based on her smiling and laughing. There was a little bits of contact, arm touches. Most time, yeah, toxicity, that word alone says a lot. So the idea that you're going to fix it. Okay, where are you going with this, Daniel Castle? Do you have something? Do you have a question? Or I asked her the next day if she wanted to go later that week. She seemed interested to me. She asked twice about what I had planned for us, but told me it's a major turnaround for someone to become a non-toxic people. Most people don't change. All right, this has been outstanding. This has been a very, very, very good live session, and I'm thankful that you guys all came on deck. I think I'm going to close it out at this point on a high note. When I see toxic, I bounce, yeah. But you don't want to digest it either, do you? Anything to close it out? Any quick questions? Trail, I'll look for your email. It's not worth the time to stick around the craziness. Absolutely. Keep it moving. She's flip-flopping, pull back for a while. Thanks, Judy Jack. I'd say I'd agree. Short answer to Trail. Stay away from the mama moose. I agree, Rob. Well, we got ourselves a little team out here, huh? We'll have to certify all of you guys. Got ourselves a little group. I like it. Thanks, EG. It's been real. It's been Real in the field. All right, folks. I'm going to peace out. I'm going to wish you good health and lots of wealth. It's noon, 12:11 p.m. Time can actually be on your side. These are great. Keep these lives coming, man. No problem, Trail. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it, man. Everyone else, take it easy. Have a good one.